Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Delta Motivations Podcast. Thank you so much for being here and having a listen. If you haven't done so already, please press that subscribe button. Look at my YouTube, check my TikTok, my Instagram under Delta Motivation or Delta Dylan. It'll be muchly appreciated. So, today's topic is how to cope with life when it starts to give you things that you can't control and they all happen at once. So, what happens when we feel something bad has happened in our life? They usually come in threes or fours and they always happen all at once. And that stress that is put on you is really overwhelming. Like, stuff happens in life, and often, difficult stuff happens that we didn't really see. And we didn't see it coming, we didn't do anything to deserve it, but it's also out of our control. We can't stop it, but we feel as if it's happened over and over and over again. Now, it's common to lose sight of our logic when life throws us the, unpalatable curveball. You might go into superhero mode and try to save the day or go over, what happened obsessively for the rest of your life, and you kind of keep playing those situations over and over and over again. The result, of course, is that when you do those things, your anxiety and stress now skyrocket. And then not only do you have a bad situation on your hands, but you also have the side effects of worrying. And then you have sleeplessness, and then muscle tension, mood swings, etc. So I know it's hard. It's really hard to avoid the natural human perspective. But what you have to do is have a toolkit that can approach these situations to keep your mind at ease and keep your body, healthy. So here are some ways. I've got 5 ways to cope when life goes out of control a little bit. So number 1, throw your inner victim a life jacket. When life becomes overwhelming, it often feels easier just to throw your hands up and go, oh, well, it's happening to me. You play the victim card and you assume you can't do anything to feel better. This is a victim mode where you can give up and you've lost all power and you stop thinking of how you can cope. Being a victim often happens because instead of processing our feelings of being vulnerable and scared, we pretend that we're fine and instead we just feel sorry for ourselves. So that needs to stop. It can help not to repress your feelings, but give yourself a time window to fully feel what you need to feel. If you worry about processing how the situation is making you feel, then you'll feel a lot better doing that, okay? So I don't want you to worry about the processing. I want you to worry about how much time you give yourself to process. And what happens in the victim mentality is that we don't give ourselves enough time. We think our day is enough. We think a couple of days, couple of hours is enough and we need to get over it. Obviously, that's not the case. If you are still feeling that overwhelmingness of things that are happening, you need to give yourself more time. Throw your victim mentality a lifeline. Although you can't change what has happened, but none of us are powerless. We all have the power to choose the next step in life. Even if we can't change the one that's happened before, we can still choose the next one. So that's what I mean by giving your victim mentality a lifeline. Give it a little bit more. Number 2, be honest and put it on paper. When we are under stress, the natural tendency is to talk things through with our friends and loved ones. And that's fantastic. But have you ever noticed that you talk more and the more and more, the story changes? The more you talk, the story actually changes. And the mind can't resist telling a story. But what happens when you retell a story is that you retell it in a way that you told it last. So the truth gets altered here and it's embellished a little bit. And you might find yourself over-embellishing what's happened, and that story now turns into a victim mentality or having you feeling worse than what you started. So I want you to put it down, and the reason why you put it down is that the pen to paper makes it real. It can't be embellished. What you've put down is the first instant of how you were feeling. It's not changed over time. It once you've done it in the very first moment, it's there. It's tangible. So you can reread over that is how you felt in this time. You're not rethinking. You're not comparing it to other situations or talking to other people and then putting extra stress or bringing up something else that you might not have thought about before. What you felt in that time was that, and that's why I want you to put it on paper. So we can be easily influenced by others around us because of them saying their opinion and trying to empathize with what you're feeling. It just means that we take on their empathy, we take on their, oh, you poor thing, and that can turn into that victim mentality, is what I got around before. So I want you to try writing out your situation in exact detail, and you can even make a timeline of that. What happened, this versus this, what you've been saying, this happened, how did you feel, what was the first instinct and how you dealt with things. And the more you get to the truth of the situation, the more you can actually source out how to deal with the problem. You actually find something that actually will work. You might benefit from writing down these ideas and managing the situation. Step 3, or number 3 I should say, do a 180 with your focus. Your focus right now is to deal with those bad situations, and you're trying to tackle them all. You're trying to get them all, finish them all at once. I want you to do a 180. When things happen that we can't change, they often become what we always think about. Perhaps you like to focus on the negative, because being a victim gives you attention. Maybe you don't intend that, but we all know that when something's a problem and you complain about it, you're going to get a certain response. You're going to get one or two things. The poor you. Oh no, I can't believe that happened to you. Oh my God, you poor thing. Or you're going to get do this. You're going to get the friends and the family members to say, well, there's your problem. Here's the solution. And I want you to think about, how were you taught to focus on the negative things when you were growing up? Were you taught to actually deal with situations, or were you taught to, well, someone will come and help you if you do this and that? And I want to bring it back to my teaching experience. Now, I make a conscious effort not to do the shoelaces of my students. I don't do the work. I teach them how to do their shoelace, and I get them to do it. And the reason being is that coming up to me say, Mr. H, my shoelace is untied. They come to me with a problem. And I don't want to teach them approaching any person with a problem and expecting them to fix it. Mom, Dad, this broke. Oh, my shoelace is untied, Dad. I get there's a sense of, well, yes, the parents and the teachers can do shoelaces and can help with work, but when does it alter? When does it come to the responsibility of the person to learn how to do their shoelace? And in primary school, I make a conscious effort to do that. I make sure, let me teach you. Sit down. They're your shoes. I'm going to teach you. And I'll teach you every day. I'll put in the effort because they need to be able to do that. They need to be able to flip their focus on, well, there's a problem, someone else is going to do it for me, someone else is going to fix it, and flip it to, well, hang on, I need to learn how to change that, how to fix my issues, because they are. They are your issues. They are some things that you're wanting to deal with, and maybe you're tackling them by yourself when you need to flip to get help. That's what I mean. Whichever stance you're taking, you've got to do it all by yourself, which means, hang on, I'm going to flip this. I'm going to look at it from an outside point of view and might get help if needed. Or you might be asking or wanting everyone else to help you, and you need to be one to take those actions. Asking friends and family, oh, what do I do? Well, that's a big, big call. Because the only person that knows all of the details is you. You're asking someone else to know all the details and make a decision when they don't know all the details. You are the only person that has lived your situations in your life 100%. You are best equipped to make these decisions more than anyone else. So just remember, no matter how much you go over what has happened to you, you can't change the past. The only thing you can control is the choices that you make right now. Okay, which leads to the next point. Number 4, stop time traveling. Stop living in the past. What's happened? This is what happened here. We need to get out of that. I want you to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness, the art of practicing being present in the moment, being aware of what's happening. And it's been huge in schools. It's become all the rage over the last couple of years because it's so true. It's based on the concept that most of our anxieties are over things that we can't change, the past, or things that we're trying to predict in the future. And we actually don't get anxiety over the things happening right now. We're worried about, what's going to happen tomorrow if I do this right now? Oh, this is going to happen. So-and-so's going to feel like this. Or we're worried about the past, things that we can't change. So by putting our focus on what is in front of us right now, we can hear our thoughts and feelings more clearly. We can make choices that suit us better and create the headspace to make better decisions. In other words, mindfulness can help you get to the now and let go and move on. It can make you feel calm, and it could be anything. Mindfulness comes down to what makes you feel here and now. Coloring is a huge thing. It's so underrated. So underrated. Kids color in, and we say it's for hand-eye coordination, but it's also in the what is happening right now. They're staying in the lines. That is what they are currently trying to do. They are choosing a color. So there's a choice and there's an action with that, and they are in that moment. They're not going to move on to another section of coloring in until they finish that section. You don't see students on kids and people just, I'm going to start coloring this box with one dot, next box. They finish what they're coloring in. That's their job. That's the mindfulness. Finish what you are doing currently. Do that. It could be listening to music. It could be going for a walk. It could be something as simple, and I said this in my last podcast, 3, 3, and 3. I want you to find 3 things around the room. Name them as quickly as possible. Then I want 3 things that you can hear. Closing your eyes, listen to what is happening around you. What can you hear? Nature and printer printing, bubbles of an aquarium or something like that. What is happening around you? And then 3 things that you're physically what can you feel? Bring yourself into the exact now. That's what mindfulness is about. I want you to give some of them a go, because your anxiety with all those things that are happening all at once, you're worried about too much in the future, or what will happen if this happened and then I let this go and this deadline passes. Stop. Bring yourself into the now. Calm. Get rid of that anxiety. Feel. And then take that next step. Number 5, switch up your perspective. So we walk around, or most of us do anyway, sure that we think that it's gospel truth, when it rarely is. Whatever we think is like, oh yeah, this is the truth here. So instead we need to think of our perspective and where we've got our life values from. Walking around saying that, oh well, this is the truth. This is what's happening. This is how exactly I'm feeling. We need to take a step back a little bit. And what would you say to a friend? How would you treat a friend in this position? How would you treat a loved one in this position? If they came to you with the same situation, so I'll support them. Well, would you? Let's write down the facts. Let's write down the facts. Let's actually bring out the truth and change your perspective a little bit. So imagine you're a statue. That circle of people surround the statue. So how many angles are there? So many different angles, perspectives. If you're looking at that statue, or you're the statue yourself, and people are looking at you, they're going to see your eyes, they're going to see your feet, but from behind, they're going to see the back of your hair. So there's some things that you can't see, is what I'm trying to get at. So you need to try to get into that perspective. Let's walk around. Let's walk around this statue to get all the information that we can. So any situations that you're in, that you're feeling like you're overwhelmed, you're anxious, I want you to try to get a full 360 view of it. What is happening here? Where are they coming from? The party that's giving you these anxieties, these pressures. Where are they coming from? Why are they doing what they're doing? Understand what's happening in the situation. Why is there a deadline? Why am I feeling like I'm put under pressure when my boss says, "Oh no, there's no pressure to finish this"? Why am I putting myself there? I want you to think about that as much as you can, because that perspective, get all the information that you can. I believe that you need to learn about your anxieties. I've said it many a times: learn, plan, act. Learn about what is happening and why you are feeling how you're feeling. Plan the next thing, because you now know, you've learned everything there is to do about your emotions, and now you're putting into plan. You're making a plan to say, yep, this is what I need to do. I need to talk to this person. And then the next is action. Learn, plan, act. There's no point of learning everything, planning it, if you're not actually going to do the steps that you planned. Get around it and start doing those things. Which brings me to my last point, number 6. Get support. Build up your support network. Have little pockets of support networks. Home. Who's around you? Who can help you? Who brings you up? Who grounds you? But in saying that, have it for work. Who brings you up? Who grounds you? Maybe you find yourself not talking to people at work or at home, but then you wonder why people can't empathize with what's happening. As human beings, we struggle with mind reading. I know it's weird. I've tried mind reading. It doesn't work. We struggle with it because what we see is our perspective. We only see that one side. And I've asked you before to do that 360 view. You're doing that, but other people aren't. We need to understand that people aren't getting the full picture. They see what they see and they make a perception. They make an assumption of it. Your job now is to build up that network so that they can get a 360 view of what's happening with you. Why are you anxious? Have you told people, I actually get anxiety? What's so bad about that? Because like I said before, if a friend came to you and spoke to you and said, hey there, hey Dylan, I actually suffer anxiety when I'm put in these situations. That's going to give me perspective. Okay, I didn't know that about you. And I've asked you to do public speaking before. I've asked you to come on my podcast before. I didn't know you get anxiety about that. Oh yeah, I don't really tell people. Well then how else would I have known? It doesn't look, you don't have a label or a name tag saying social anxiety in these situations. Build your support network so that people know what they're putting you through, what they're feeling. And it's not a bad way. It's coming up with, oh, by the way, this is how I'm feeling. I don't like going to the coffee shop because I actually don't like making decisions. Oh, when we plan our dinner dates, can you make those decisions because I get anxiety when I actually have to choose where we're going to eat, etc. Those little things need to be put in place, and it builds from there. If you're comfortable in talking about how you're feeling, then your friends and family will feel comfortable talking to you about their feelings. You need to start doing that. Those little things can go a long, long way. Please don't try to trick yourself into thinking that you can do everything by yourself. You don't have to. You can't control things that happen in your life, but you can control how you react. So that's what I want you to think about when you're dealing with all of these pressures and all those things that have happened all at once. Try your best to build that support network, that their people are there for you and you are there for them. And I guarantee if you try these 6 steps or 6 little tips, you're going to feel a little better. I myself have tried all of them because they work. They honestly work. All right. Let me know in the comments, and my YouTube, and just let me know how they're going. Please, please, please press that subscribe button. I hope you guys enjoyed my podcast, Delta Motivation. If you haven't added me on Instagram, please do that. TikTok as well, Delta Dylan on both of those. Take care, everyone. See ya.